Hello, hello, and welcome. And thank you for your patience.
I'm having flashbacks to last year when I was basically late to my own official wedding ceremony. It feels like had very similar vibes when you're late to your own birthday.
Well, what I'll say is being late is an example of conflict, and what is a moment if not defined by the story of it and therefore the conflict of it? Um, I'll be honest, Story Engine, the actual story of how we made this deck is full of conflict and obstacles and overcomings. So it is only fitting that today, and you can read in the caption here, celebrate the Story Engine's 6th birthday. It's been 6 years since the Story Engine launched on Kickstarter
Oh my
in
god.
2019.
Six years to the day.
It is only fitting that we mark this occasion with trouble. Trouble is the most interesting thing that can happen in a story. A story without trouble is not really even a story. So yeah, we were experiencing some technical difficulties as it seems that our streaming platform changed how they allow for landscape views on phones. Normally, when we do the heart of the cards, which is how we do prompts, we have a phone inside of a tripod looking at the cards. We have it turned sideways, and then that makes for a really good orientation for being able to show the cards. Unfortunately, the platform just seems to have changed and removed the ability to have the phone turned sideways. So we had to scramble a new vertical layout in the minutes that we would normally be launching. But we've got a workaround figured out for this time, and we'll be able to do the cards live with you. As promised, because we've got so much going on today.
We have
so
so
much
much going on. And you know what? It's funny because I know one of the things we're going to do today, if we're just teasing ahead to what we're going to do, we're going to be doing some kind of quick draw prompts, and we're going to kind of share with you what some of our favorite expansion and booster combinations are using the Story Engine deck. And one of mine, spoiler alert, is science fiction. And I'm just having this moment where I'm like, I'm surprised there isn't more science fiction out there where you just like listen to the characters yell at the computer because it's like, oh my god, like I need to, I don't know, shut off this machine before we have this like kills all the power of the city, but it's telling me I need to do an update. It's telling me I need to do an update, and it's wanting two-factor verification. And I don't have my phone because I'm on a covert mission. Like I feel like that's the sci-fi humor that I'm looking for.
Do you know what the name of the genre where characters experience resistance and frustration due to technology is called?
No, I
Life.
didn't.
Science
Life.
friction.
Oh, what a way to begin the live. Oh, what a way to begin the live stream.
In case it's your first time joining us, chat, Moroki hates puns, which is why I make them often. And what's the word I'm looking for?
And we encourage you to make them. If we like them, we will put them on screen.
Yeah.
Eric's been judging my. I occasionally say something which I thought was a bad pun, and then I'm told that I am wrong, that I'm not doing it right. I like this saying, whoop, dad jokes.
Thank you.
Awful.
Yeah, truly terrible. Thank you. Appreciate that, Farah. So yeah, feel free to drop puns anytime in the chat. We are going to be doing lots of interactive stuff with you guys. Actually, let's quickly walk through what we've got on the itinerary today. So to start off, we're going to let you know a little bit about the Story Engine birthday sale that we've got going on. We're going to walk you through a new resource that we have launched just now today, and that we'll be distributing for free to all of the backers of our Deck of Worlds campaign. This was a stretch goal that as with previous stretch goals for the Deck of Worlds campaign, we turned what was supposed to be a simple 6-page project into like a robust 26-page super resource. So we're going to be launching that free for all of our Deck of Worlds backers and available for purchase on our website. It is called the Storyteller's Workbook, and it's basically a complete guide for going from nothing, just having no idea for a story, to creating a prompt with the Story Engine and turning it into like a fully structured multiple act outline for a story that you know your readers are going to love reading. So we're really excited to unveil that and launch that today.
And if I know a lot of you are joining us for the birthday party, but if you didn't get a chance to meet us, and you know the Story Engine, I know we're celebrating the Story Engine, but as the Story Engine's parents, we always need to introduce ourselves and embarrass our child profusely. So I'm Moroki Tong. I'm the CEO of the Story Engine, and over here is Eric.
Hello, I am the community manager / a writer for various Story Engine projects.
And we have Peter.
Hi, I designed the Story Engine and kind of the lead designer for our products, and I'm Peter. Nice to meet you.
Yes, Story Engine deck calls Peter father.
Yes, yeah, father.
And when Moroki says it, it has that accent.
Yeah.
Only when she does it.
I think the story engine deck like calls me by my first name. Like I think it's one of those kids that, or I'm one of those dads. Yeah. So we ran through intros at the top. But we're gonna also let you know about a giveaway that we're doing today. We are going to do an Ask Us Anything. So if you've got questions for us, you'll be able to ask them.
I think Peter's Wi-Fi is a little bit tight today. That's another
thing. We're going to share our founding story, just tell you a little bit about how the deck came to be. And then we'll be doing some live story crafting with all of us leading different prompts and throwing over to the chat to vote for different parts of the prompt. So it's going to be full of fun and creativity and new cool stuff to share.
Yeah, and as I launch into the sale, I would love to hear like if you guys tell us like where you're tuning in from, and maybe tell us like if you discovered us through Story Engine deck or Deck of Worlds or Lore Masters deck, and whether Story Engine deck is part of your life. So one of our I
was gonna say before we should say that we do have a contest on this live stream today.
Yeah, we have a lot of things happening. So we're gonna start by telling you about the sale, because what kind of birthday is better? What birthday is better? What makes a better birthday than giving you our lovely people gifts, which is what we're sort of doing this week. So we'll start with our sale. This week, if you purchase any of our Story Engine deck-based products, so that's Story Engine deck, that's any of our 6 expansions, 12 boosters, our accessories, so like our Story Engine deck pins, our Story Engine deck themed folding storage boxes, and the Leviathan boxes, which, because it carries everything, basically carries Story Engine deck, you get discounts. So it is 10% off if you buy our main deck, or 10% off any of our bundles. And so that's any of our bundles that include the Story Engine deck. So that includes some of our larger bundles as well. It is 15% off any of our expansions and boosters. And it is 20% off if you want any of our accessories. So that's our pins, that's the folding storage boxes, the Leviathan boxes, as I said. So, and of course, our playmat as well. And any of our PDFs that are around Story Engine as well. Wow, tuning in from Germany, Farah. What time is it over there right now? Like 8 or 9? Thanks for tuning in so late. So that's really amazing. Oh, folks coming back from Kickstarter. So you are 6 years, you've kind of seen Story Engine from the time it was in baby mode. And
Day one, baby.
In baby mode, all the way to its very, very mature 6-year-old self. So that's our sale. And if you actually make any purchases throughout this week, we have a giveaway that we're doing daily for any orders placed on our site. So basically, if you place an order on our website, it qualifies as a ballot, and we are doing a daily draw. And then at the end of the week, all of those ballots are going to be pooled towards one big prize, which is $100 gift card to our website. So our daily giveaway today is a $25 gift card to our site. So we're going to change it every single day. We already have 2 winners who won our playmat yesterday, and our first day where you got to win a mystery expansion and a science fiction expansion. So, and if you can't tell, because I said the science fiction expansion is my favorite, I might have picked those. So yeah, stay tuned, come on back. And again, at the end of the week, all those ballots will be entered into a $100 gift card grand prize. I think I covered all of that. And Peter, do you want to kind of share the next little goodie that we're going to be kind of launching and sharing with everybody today?
Oh, I do. I do very, very much. So, the Storyteller's Workbook, which I hesitate while saying the name because we went back and forth. We brainstormed like literally 50 titles for this thing before we settled on that. The Storyteller's Workbook started what it was supposed to be was just a 6-page version of the Field Notes PDF. If you are a backer of Deck of Worlds or you've checked out any of our PDF resources on the website, the Field Notes PDF is this little guide to just getting a little bit more mileage out of your prompt with Deck of Worlds, some additional questions for framing your world building. We were going to do a version of that for storytelling for the Story Engine deck as the stretch goal that was unlocked as part of the Deck of Worlds campaign, which ran in 2021. Raised over $800,000. We had so many helpful backers. We want to honor that effort. And I think the Story Engine, those of us here are nothing if not overachievers. And when Eric started applying his brain to the question of like, how would we do this? He did the first draft of this. He created a really interesting resource for fleshing out the protagonist in a little more detail, understanding their motivation, understanding their conflict. And I looked at these great questions he'd written, and I'm like, what if we went a little further with this? And like bit by bit, as we were brainstorming and adding, we ended up coming up with what is essentially a 26-page resource for taking yourself from just having a basic story engine prompt, the simple story seed prompt, and then literally step by step creating an entire multi-act structure for your novel, your screenplay, your novella, your short story, including all of the steps in between. So I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of the resource right now, the Storyteller's Workbook. Going to do a little show and tell so we can show you how much it can do for you. But essentially, we have our little cover and introduction area where we walk you through everything you're going to be doing so you have a sense of the whole scope of the project. We guide you through starting your story, figuring out who your protagonist is, understanding your protagonist in greater detail, making sure that you've got a good physical description of them, a description of their personality, how they talk and interact and move, what is their day-to-day life like, expanding that into understanding their motivation and what's going to really drive them through the story, to understanding their conflict, including being able to break your conflict down to elements of internal conflict and external conflict, looking for themes that connect the internal and external, learning to frame the conflicts in your story as either obstacles, dilemmas, or choices / sacrifices they have to make. And then understanding really what's the central conflict, what's the heart of your story, and how is the story going to change your character. And then we get into what I think is one of the coolest sections, or it's one of the sections that I got most excited when we were working on, which is how to create secondary characters. So we have a walkthrough of different types of secondary characters, including companions, confidants, cheerleaders, mentors, love interests, neutral party characters like foils, shadows of the character, frenemies, characters who are both enemies and friends depending on the context and situation, mercenaries, characters who will help your character but for a price. Right down to making your antagonists, your nemesis, your rival, your trickster character who wants something sort of mysterious from the character, or how to write characters who will betray your protagonist, how to write characters who want to manipulate them or become like an influence on their decision making. So we walk you through the secondary characters, and then we get into, I think, the real meat of it, which is structuring your story. I know some people love a multi-act structure, some people don't. We tried to make ours as open and simple and easy to adapt so that people who don't like structure can just take what they need from it. But essentially, we built you through one act of staging, so making sure that you're setting up the most essential elements of your character and introducing them in a way that's really going to make your readers care about them, and brainstorming scenes you can do to achieve this goal. We are going to then get you into an act transition, figuring out what your inciting incident is, and all of this stuff is stuff that you can fill out using the pages that you created earlier. So none of this is stuff you have to come up with from scratch. You're going to look at all the material you brainstormed earlier in the exercise and just use that here. We're going to get you into the rising action as the story becomes more intense, and you can look at different victories or setbacks or failures that your character experiences, into your point of no return, the moment where things get thickest and your character really needs to decide, okay, we're in this to win this. We have little guidelines and scene blueprints for ideas for scenes that you can adapt or ignore depending on what serves your process. Right down to converging action. I've always taken beef with people with the structure of falling action because it makes it sound like things are getting less intense. What happens in this act is, in fact, that all of the action is moving towards the climax, to the climactic moment where all the shit's going to go down. So our third act we call converging action, looking at sort of major successes, setbacks, and interactions with other characters that can structure this act and make the conclusion of your story build as excitingly as possible, right down to your climactic moment. And this is where you're going to go back to your what do we call it? Your central conflict, and look at how does it resolve. Is the character going to get what they want? Are they going to be able to overcome their internal and external conflicts? We've got a great structure for building out those types of scenes. Down to your denouement, making sure that you have a chance to follow up on any of those allies, neutral parties, or antagonists who you think deserve a wrap-up, as well as your main character and what you want to show about how they've changed. Again, going back to that dramatic change section. So everything we have here in the act structures is going to be built out of stuff you've already created earlier on through these really organic brainstorms. It's a lot of fun, this resource, and it really does make everything simple and adaptable and easy to use. Right down to brainstorming your happily ever after or your unhappily ever after, depending on how your story ends. And then what I think a lot of people will be excited about, one last detail, and then we can take your questions or talk more about where you can find this. But we get into new prompts. There are 14 new prompt types in this resource, all of which are structured around how to add those secondary character types. So for all those secondary characters that we showed you in the creating secondary character section, if you'd like to be able to create them with prompts, we have step-by-step instructions for that. There are usually 3 ways to integrate them into your existing prompt with your protagonist. So we show those in a diagram, and then we dive right into how to build a companion, a confidant, a cheerleader, a mentor, a love interest, a foil, a shadow, a frenemy, a mercenary, a nemesis, a rival, a trickster, a betrayer, a manipulator. And then we have some extra sheets just in case you run out of space in the worksheets. But obviously, you can do all of this in a notebook instead if you prefer. And then a little thank you and acknowledgements here to all of our Deck of Worlds backers who made this possible. Again, this is a stretch goal, got out of hand. So we've made this available to all of our Deck of Worlds backers for free. It's one of the things that we really care about with all of our Kickstarters, including the most recent one for dungeon tryouts, is we want to make sure that we give as much cool stuff to the people who were day ones, who really helped us make these projects come to life. But if you were not a backer of this project, don't worry. We do have it on the website. It is available for purchase. You can find it now in a little call out on the main page and on the sale page for the story PDF or for the story prompt sale. I believe it is $16.99, but for the rest of this week, it's going to be 20% off because we're treating it as an accessory/PDF. So that is a deep discount if you want to pick up something really cool like this. And huge shout out to Eric, who did so much of the development work on this with me, who really wrote some fantastic prompting questions and got us off the ground with building this resource. And huge shout out to Zach, who did a ton of phenomenal graphic design work to make this a beautiful and useful and functional resource, and to Maroki, who is the reason why stretch goals that we are supposed to be delivering ever get delivered, is because she's the one who's like, hey, we're doing another quarterly check-in. What have we, what is outstanding? What can we deliver? And who really thought this would be an excellent resource to deliver in time for the Story Engine's birthday. So yeah, awesome creative team worked on this. So super proud of this resource. And if you have any questions about it, you can let us know in the chat, because I just think it's like the coolest thing. I'm excited to use this personally to structure out like a novel at some point, because I've really been wanting to figure out what my novel is going to be at some point I'm in my 30s. I gotta write a novel, like write a passage maybe.
Well, I think Peter answered some of the questions, but I did read a few of them really, really quickly in the comments. So I know some people were asking like who are the folks who are getting in. Peter, I think you already articulated that very clearly. So the folks who do receive this resource for free is going to be anyone who backed Deck of Worlds, the Kickstarter, because this was a bonus resource that came as a part of Deck of Worlds. But you definitely can purchase it on our website for $16.99 and 20% off this week as well. So extra discount there. And if you have backed us on other projects, obviously we have other goodies to be providing at that time as well. I know some of you folks had asked whether you can add this as a piece to your order if your order hasn't shipped yet as a pre-order. You definitely can, but the best part is because it's a PDF resource, you don't necessarily need to adjust or add to your existing order. You can place a whole new order because it doesn't actually impact your physical order in any way. If you order the PDF, it will get delivered straight to your inbox. There is no wait time for it at all, and there's no like shipping costs, or doesn't really change anything. If it was a physical product, I get it, because sometimes you have to like combine shipping. It might be a little bit cheaper in shipping in one box, but because it's a PDF product, there is actually like no need at all for that. So but we also have one cool thing around this workbook PDF that Eric is actually going to share with you now.
So like people who get it for free are the people who backed the original Deck of Worlds, and one person watching today. Basically, we are going to give away, I guess it's the official first copy of the Storyteller's workbook, and to enter for a chance to win, you just have to follow us and tag us in a post on pretty much any social media platform, and with a prompt that you've made with the Story Engine deck, with one of your favorites. So just follow us, tag us, and then we'll compile the names and draw them out of a hat at the end of this live stream.
And that's for any of our social media platforms. So on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Threads, on
Blue Sky,
and TikTok. There's a way to share. Yeah, we have to do TikTok.
Yeah.
I might have to ask you to keep that list tracked, Peter.
Yeah. If you at me on TikTok, currently it's the only social media that I'm on top of, because despite me being the oldest man in the world, I am the one of us who is the most tapped into TikTok at the moment. So I'll keep an eye on the TikTok. Yeah.
So I'm older than Peter, so I'm less plugged into TikTok, is basically what it comes down to.
No, Peter's the oldest man in the world. We've established this by now.
Yeah. TikTok years are different than like physical age years, I guess.
You just change whole generations at a time. So yeah, tag us on, follow us on that social media platform, and tag us in it with your favorite story engine based prompt, and we'll make sure we drop it into a fancy hat that I did see backstage at some point. Where did our fancy hat go? You show our fancy hat. Look at it. It has glitter and everything. We'll actually do it the old-fashioned writer's way. We'll handwrite everything and drop it into this hat, and we will do a draw at near the end of the live stream. But for those of you who did back Deck of Worlds, you are about to receive the workbook right now. So Peter's gonna do the magic distribute button, and we're gonna do the drum roll here.
2, 1. Blasting emails. Okay.
They're being delivered.
Yeah. They're going. Yep. We've now sent 3,000 emails in the last 10 seconds.
The magic of emails. So yes, if you keep an eye on your inbox, if you backed us on Deck of Worlds, you should be receiving that shortly. If there are any issues, as usual, you can always drop us a note at hello@storyenginedeck.com. If something went awry, it's the world of the internet is a powerful thing, yet a thing with so many weird little black holes. Aha! Proof of life. Wait, proof of life.
Awesome.
So yay. I'm so glad you guys are receiving. Yay, folks saying that the emails arrives. Calvin saying loving the sound of emails whooshing by. We love the sounds of emails whooshing by as well. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. So glad you guys are getting it. Again, if you guys have any questions for us, today's the day to, let us know what they are. We're always more than, happy to answer any questions that you have. Ask us anything you like. I actually saw one from Tara. You said it was a very serious question, saying that there is a deck of penguins, and will there be a deck of cows? That's a very specific animal, Tara, and I would love to hear why you specifically picked cows as the next deck that we should do. But we can't tell you what secret plans we have cooking away in the story engine workshop. But what I will say is that from dungeon tryouts, we have adopted 60 more penguins. So one of the things that actually came out of Oops All Penguins and in development for Dungeon Tryouts, which is our new D&D based party game, kind of apples to apples, Cards Against Humanity fantasy style party game, is that we ended up creating a really adorable penguin character. And then we realized that we wanted to actually find a way to give back a little bit to the community. So in the past, we have supported Eden's Reforestation Project. Obviously, as writers and creators, we use trees as a resource to make paper for our manuscripts and books. And for the last few years, we have been supporting Eden Reforestation to make sure that we can sustain, make sure that we can continue supporting writers to come through sustainable forestry initiatives. And we decided that our next charitable initiative would be Sand Cob, which raises money to sue.
To sue penguins. we're doing what now?
Raises money to help protect South African seabirds, specifically penguins, because without human protection, South African penguins may be extinct by 2035. So we have raised all the proceeds from Oops All Penguins, which actually does qualify for the discount as well, just so you know, this week. Does go towards raising money to adopt penguins, and through Dungeon Tryouts, we have adopted 60 penguins as well. Well, like I said, drop any questions you have about the story engine. But in the meantime, maybe I think it's worth, Faza, maybe you want to tell the story about how Story Engine came to be.
I do. And before I tell that story, I'm going to quickly look at a question from Hakua here.
Yeah.
Hakuo. Writing a racing romance thriller. Is there a deck of prompts for cars or racing? I couldn't find one. There's not one for cars or racing, but next year we're going to be releasing the much awaited romance expansion. And I want to quickly mention that if you stay to the end of this stream, we are going to be revealing some of the first example cards from one of the 3 expansions we're launching next year, the character questions expansion. So do stick around for that reveal at the end of the live stream, because it's really, really cool what Eric and I have been working on.
It's also probably worth noting that the Lore Masters deck, Objects deck, does have vehicles on those cards.
Yes, actually it does, yeah.
So you're not going to quite get as like granular as like, well, this thing's got like a V8 engine or something like that, but you can get some pretty detailed information about vehicles with those cards.
Indeed.
Yeah, and maybe a quick question to answer for Claire as well. Any update when our new shipment of decks will arrive? We've actually had a couple of updates, and if you missed them in our newsletter, you get to hear it loud and clear from us here. We are fully back in stock in Canada. Yay!
Yay!
So we're extra proud because we're Canadian, so we have to be. And it was actually the first country to come fully back in stock. So yay! And thank you to our brand new fulfillment partner, Eco, for being on the ball and bringing us on for that. We are fully back in stock in the States. Yay!
Yay!
We for anyone who was very interested in the world of sea freight and tariffs and stuff like that, our container actually was yanked by customs for an inspection in the States this time. So we were a little bit nervous, but we're very, very pleased to announce that we're fully back in stock. We're just in time for the story engine. And that's the best birthday gift I would say that any of us could ever ask for. We are fully in stock in UK and Europe. So if you're in the UK, in Europe, and actually if you're from like what we kind of deem like not any and other countries around the world are not part of our major hubs. So if you're anywhere in Africa or you're anywhere in Asia, the UK helps service our countries there as well. So we are fully stocked in those areas, and we are very close for Australia. So if in Australia is covering New Zealand as well. So if you're from the Down Under area, sit tight. It's basically there. The container, as far as I know, exists in Australia. We just now need to get that final step where our fulfillment partner can be the ones to actually like have all the decks in their hands to ship it out to you. So thank you everyone from Australia for always being so chill and patient with us as we get everything sorted there. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead, ask us any questions in the chat while I will sort of start to tell the story of the story engine, how it came about. It's a story I've talked about a little bit before, but usually it's on the anniversary that I get like a little sentimental about it, because very much this Kickstarter and this working on the story engine deck specifically and creatively were like some of the biggest life-changing moments for me. Yeah, because like in 2019, the end of 2018 was a very difficult time for me going into 2019. Like it was just really, really rough. I was in a publishing contract disagreement that had gotten legal, and that was getting really like expensive and demoralizing. And I actually kind of thought my writing career might be over. My dog died of cancer. I just moved from Canada to England. I was living in London, which was like amazing, but a very expensive city to move to and live in. And I didn't know anybody, or I knew a couple people, but I was still kind of like finding my feet. And it was really rough. It was really hard. It was hard to be creative. It was hard to like see the point in writing when I thought that like my career was done. But it was also a period of time where I ended up like developing a new relationship with writing that because I wasn't ever sure I'd ever get to publish again, I got to spend time writing because I was just writing, like writing in the way that like, you know, you sing in the shower. I might be the only one who's ever going to experience it or hear it, but it still mattered to me. The story engine deck was one of the things that I worked on in that period where I was learning how to write because I wanted to love writing again, instead of wanting to love publishing or the things that publishing gets you. I was doing a lot of writing for The Shortest Story, which if you go to shorteststory.com, that's where I used to publish, I still occasionally publish little postcard-sized short stories, bits of microfiction. And at the time, I was doing like 2 of these a week. I was publishing 2 stories a week. So I needed lots of story ideas. And I was also really experimenting with like, how much can you boil down a story to make it smaller and smaller and smaller, but it still feels like a story and it still does the things a story does and makes people feel the way a story makes people feel. So as I was doing that, I was looking at like, well, what if I changed this character type to this character type, or change this motivation to this motivation? And I started playing around with a deck that would help me come up with ideas for the shortest story, and that also helped me understand the anatomy of a story. If you look at the 5 card types in the Story Engine deck, they're based around a sentence that I learned in a creative writing classroom with Professor Daryl Wetter, who's a Canadian author and poet. You can look him up; he's great. He taught me about a theory of story from another Canadian novelist called Douglas Glover, which is that a story consists of someone wanting something and having trouble getting it. And that's just such a beautiful, simple sentence that I think really captures the heart of what really good fiction does. It shows us a character who wants something and there's an obstacle and we don't know if they're going to get it. And the 5 card types in Story Engine are based around really being able to dive in and understand how each of the components of that sentence makes for an interesting story. So our agents are our someone deck, who is the story about. The wanting is the engines deck, what's their motivation. The it that they're getting is the anchors deck. The trouble is the conflicts deck. And then aspects are not part of that sentence, but I really thought it was important to have cards that could help you remix the same prompts and find new angles of understanding them. And so this was a really cool, fun project that I thought that me as like a narrative nerd, someone who loves looking at story structure, I thought it was going to be really, really like a big deal for me, but not everyone else would care about it necessarily. So when I finished my next book and managed to go ahead and like kind of clear the lanes to be able to start publishing things again, I launched a Kickstarter for my new book and also for this deck that I was working on while I was writing all the little micro postcard stories that went in the book. I thought that like it was going to do about as well as my last project did. I had like, middling goals, but it was so quickly clear that there were a lot of people who were interested in the deck, and a lot more people interested in the deck than interested in the book. Short version is, over the next like few weeks, thousands of backers came in. We raised almost $300,000 on Kickstarter over like a $10,000 initial goal, and dungeon masters, writers, teachers who teach creative writing, teachers who just teach English, like all kinds of people who work with story and words and writing came in and found different ways to use the deck. So we ended up expanding from what was sort of a simple deck with a simple prompt format into multiple ways to use the deck in classroom applications, in dungeon mastering, in games, and also a call for expansions. People really wanted to be able to come up with prompts that would help them understand what makes different genres work, if they want to write fantasy or science fiction or horror, or that's when we got into the first boosters covering subgenres. So it was just wild to see an amazing community come together. There were a lot of hiccups in getting through like COVID and Brexit and all these things that were happening in the world in order to actually deliver the decks to everyone. One of our container ships with our decks almost sank, but in the end, we delivered at the end of 2020 into the beginning of 2021. It was in the process of trying to fulfill this and understand what this community was turning into that I asked Moroki to like, hey, you're my friend who does business consulting, who understands what makes a business work. Could you please come in and help me figure out how to like take this appetite that everyone has for these really cool story resources and like deliver it more sustainably? Eric, I'd worked with doing writing for the tabletop RPG Emberwind, I asked to come in and do proofreading on the decks to make sure that everything was going to be tight. He was one of the best proofreaders I'd ever worked with. Zach came in after Story Engine as Deck of Worlds was kicking off, and I realized like I need design support and help. I need somebody who can jump into the comments and who understands gamers and writers and can help me like keep up with some of the queries that are coming in. And kind of like the Avengers assembled, and we ended up with this really wonderful community, this wonderful team, and that is how I remember the coming together of the Story Engine deck. But all of it started on September 10th, 2019, when the Story Engine deck launched on Kickstarter, and my life began to change in some of the best ways that I could ever have imagined.
Yeah, I would say like would 6 years later, like what did 2019 Peter imagine 2025 Peter would be like this?
Not at all. No, the not even close. I truly like can say without a hint of irony or exaggeration that like 2019 Peter had no idea his life could go so well, and that he could make something so meaningful. Like genuinely had no idea. 2019 Peter was just trying to get through each day. Like it was, yeah. So thank you, everyone. I say thank you to the community who came together.
I'd like hearing that from you.
No, genuinely, like not No exaggeration. That just I could not have imagined life could get so good. So thank you to all the community who came together to make this happen. I'm getting teary now. I really appreciate it. Like my life looks nothing like it did then, and I'm so happy. And Maroki, Eric, Zach, thank you so much for being part of the journey. You guys have always like what I look for in collaborators is not just talent, but people who care as much as I care. Like people who will get teary-eyed when they talk about something that matters to them. Like, so it's been really cool to work with people who are that passionate. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, no, I'm honored that I was there to kind of help see the journey with you from the beginning in a different way back then, and to be able to grow with you over the last 6 years to the point where even I didn't see where I was going to be, and the fact that I'm getting to do this with you all the time is the best adventure that I could ever be on. So
Yeah.
thank you for that. Everyone can just see Peter and like Maroki and Eric just get wibbly wobbly on the live stream.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to do a quick behind the scenes. We don't normally talk about this stuff on stream, but Maroki was leading. Maroki is like good at business. She is. There's a reason that she's the CEO of the company, and I asked her to take on that role. And at some point, she had to sit down and think about like what are our values as a company and how we treat each other and in how we work with our community. And one of the things we were brainstorming, like literally just last week, was like, what's our relationship with our community? And like our customers are family, and that didn't seem like the right word. Family wasn't quite the right structure, but you said the word early, just like a moment ago, adventuring party. You guys are our adventuring party. Like none of getting to venture out into these new spaces and create these new things is possible without you guys. You are our adventuring party. That was the term that we came up with. And I think that I like that term because A, we are figuring things out together. Like that is absolutely part of it. And B, like we have each other's backs. We look out for each other. And we're colleagues. Like we are all trying to figure out how to be creative and live good creative lives together. No one of us has the answers, but all of us are like good at a different element of it. And I love that. So thanks for being our adventuring party.
And like an adventuring party, sometimes, we meet each other once, we might not see each other again for a little while, but that doesn't mean that we don't see each other again at another point in our journey together, and we can get a chance to discover, or some of us journey with us for a long period of time. Yeah. I'm kind of, I'm like reminded of Pokemon in some ways, where sometimes you have like the three main characters, and shockingly, one of the main characters will leave for a little period of time, and then they come back. I think like that's what the adventuring party is all about. So.
And Zach is our Pikachu. Zach is our Pikachu who just doesn't live in a Pokeball.
So does that make Peter, Ash, me, Brock, and you Misty?
Yeah. I don't know if I want to be Misty.
I think that.
Yeah. I like the idea of Zach is an ungovernable Pikachu.
Maybe that would make him Charizard then, because Charizard's the one that like keeps evolving.
Oh,
and then it's like really unruly. Oh my god, okay. Now our Pokemon metaphor. We just gotten a little bit out of hand in our adventuring party as we choose to decide like which characters are we. We won't go too deep down that rabbit hole, but I did see a few questions coming through the chat over the last few minutes. So Eric, I wonder if you want to just kind of bring them forward so we can answer it for our wonderful adventuring party.
Sorry, say that again.
Well, you want to bring some of the questions that have been asked in the chat so that we can share with we can get a chance to answer them live on the screen right here.
We got sidetracked by many other life lessons and things.
We had some good ones. I did see one that came up a little bit earlier that I think Wyvern very, very kindly helped us answer, but I'll just say it here on the live stream for everyone's edification. There was one that was asking about, from Corey here, is there Story Engine Deck official Discord for aspiring writers and game masters? So there's not an official one yet, but there has been a really wonderful one that has been created by our fellow adventuring party, both on Facebook and Discord, called the Story Engine Creative Collective. Yep. There's a Discord for it and a Facebook, so you can kind of pick your poison there. And sometimes Eric drops in, or one of us drops in once in an occasion, but it's actually our amazing community who created that group. And everyone just comes together to kind of share their ideas, maybe share areas where they're stuck, or even just like share their wins. So I think it's so wonderful that everyone has just organically found a space with each other to collaborate. And thank you, Wyvern, for sharing, for kind of jumping in and helping us out there.
Another important question: can I be the dwarf in the party? I have a white beard. I think yes. I think for sure.
There are younger dwarfs too. Do they have to like dye their beards white in order to appear more distinguished?
I like that. I'm also now imagining hipster dwarves who like do like sculpting on the mustache and beard.
I did see a question earlier. I'm just trying to find it right now. It had to do with our expansions. And I actually like that question. For a classic Western from the Marshal of Redemption Town, for a classic Western, what decks would we recommend the most? Other than the Western Booster, of course.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Definitely Western. Weirdly, and I think Fallout is kind of proof of this. Post-apocalyptic has enough stuff about living in a wild and lawless frontier, that there's some overlap in the material that I think could be interesting to combine. Um, I think that would go well. And then honestly, main deck, like main deck. Oh, actually, okay, I have multiple answers. So post-apocalyptic, I think could be an interesting touch of like a different sense of frontier. Some of the cards won't apply, but others will apply in really interesting ways. Main deck, obviously, really, really good for pairing with any genre because any of those prompts you can interpret through a different lens. Backstories expansion, baby.
Yeah, I
Backstories,
was gonna say.
so good. Honestly, it goes with everything, and especially with like if you look at those really iconic Western characters, like all of them have something haunting their past, and backstories is going to be really good for coming up with that. And I'd even say mystery actually. The mystery expansion is nice because a lot of those roles are roles you can transpose to different aesthetic universes. So if you're telling a mystery story in a Western, someone's been shot and who did it, like all of those cues still work really well. Questions of inheritance and motive, all of that works really well in a frontier town just as much. So those were things that I would add in.
Yeah, so the follow-up question was, is there a character arc deck and backstory deck? So we just talked about the backstory expansions, and I think you might just have to stay tuned to to later in this live stream when we talk about some of our new expansions to know whether we have some character-based things coming out for all of you.
And I did say that the new work we just released will help with that as well.
Yeah,
so,
I'm gonna say
yes,
for character arc, for arcs specifically, yeah, the new book is works beautifully.
Yes, there's a lot of meat in there. Fantasy fiction made a half dozen. Is it a deck for races or making a new fictional race? That's an interesting one.
Kind of. I think I left some notes about doing this with caution, but I believe there are some prompts in the Deck of Worlds expanded guidebook for building like alien planets, including alien races based around different body types, or sentient species is what I would call them, species instead of races. I think the term race is loaded for a number of reasons and not really what we mean when we're talking about sentient species. And then you also can use Lore Master's deck, the creatures deck, to come up with different prompts that could be definitive of a species. I would just say proceed with caution. The reason I recommend that is that there's like a long history of treating people as less than human through animal metaphor. There's just a huge racist history of doing that. So if you are doing animal people hybrids or sentient species based around animals, just be really careful about if you're bringing any baggage to how you interpret the animal and people form. If you're making them seem like any real world cultures, I would be really, really careful about how you handle that material. But I do
we
think
could arguably say that like that probably not just with animals, but that would probably apply to skin color. It would apply to even geographical locations that you put in. One of the things that we do try really, really hard, and maybe that's why we don't have necessarily anything that's like dedicated to just race creation, because in the end, I think that first of all, I think it requires like a study of anthropology and genealogy and species that we probably just don't like lack on a scientific front. But I think from a fictional and storytelling perspective, it's something that we want to always remind ourselves, like how can we be sensitive and aware of about kind of our own particular biases, whether conscious or unconscious, when we're creating something that is not our own. And we actually do work really hard within the team to do a lot of sensitivity analysis on and reviews on all of our decks. And to the point where I think with Lore Masters deck, we actually have a resource that you can access online as well. So you'll notice sometimes on our cards, if you do have Lore Masters deck, you'll sometimes see like an asterisk tied towards certain terms, and you can actually like visit our extended resource to kind of get a better understanding of why these things may be considered sensitive for certain cultures and people.
Yeah, so specifically, Lore Master's deck has those little asterisks in some of the prompts that will help out with that. We have specific notes on why and what to proceed with caution for that. And then a number of our expansions where there's relevant notes about sensitivity content, you'll find that in the guidebooks for those. Yeah, great shout out to those resources. And thank you to all of our sensitivity readers who've worked with us over the years on those projects. Cool, and I see a great question here from Allison. My first deck, the Story Engine, just shipped. I'm a little scared of feeling overwhelmed by all the cool potential of this writing resource. Do you have any words of wisdom for someone brand new? So I'm going to do a two-parter here. First of all, I'm going to actually throw over to the chat to answer this question. Whether it's about the Story Engine or about writing in general, something that I've always been curious about, a question I love asking writers at every stage in their career is, I'm just adding a little banner. If you could bestow one piece of writing advice to your younger self, what would it be? So sound off in the chat if you have any specific writing advice that you'd want to share. But as pertains to the universe of the Story Engine and our products, it depends on what you're going to use it for. But if you're going to use it to write like kind of long form narrative, like a novel, I honestly would say that the Storyteller's Workbook PDF is a really good resource for like, I have a lot of options for what I could do. I would like to have some focus and some structure to help me do one thing really well. I would say Story Engine deck plus Storyteller's Workbook is going to get you super far in being able to not overplan your story, plan the parts that are most important, and focus on developing those. What do you guys think?
Go for it.
So I was going to say, it's like, I agree with all of that. I think one of the things that I really always try to emphasize is there's really no wrong way to use it. And like, it sounds dumb, but like, if you're worried about getting started, literally just draw one of each card, make one simple prompt, and then start writing. And I find that the more you use the deck, the more the other more complicated stuff, you'll start to see what's useful to you and what's not, and it all kind of falls into place. So like, it really is just like, make a very simple 5-card prompt, like find something that looks evocative there, and then spend 5 minutes writing that down. It might not be anything you use, but just start. And then I find it gets easier the more and more you do it.
I like some of the folks who are just saying have fun. I know, one of the things about using our decks is that you don't have to take every single prompt you create and feel compelled to write it down or start. Like, I know there's a few folks like George Straighton. I hope I remembered his name correctly, because sometimes when I pull names out the back of my mind, I realize I might be blending names, but Hollywood writer. And I think one of the things he even likes saying is that he just warms up by throwing prompts together. Might not even need to write it down. It's just kind of get the like muscle warm. So one of the things I was a professional actor and a producer for almost 10 years. And one of the things that people don't realize is that if you're not auditioning all the time, you actually lose that muscle. And the next time you show up in audition, you could be the greatest actor on earth, but it's very different when you're showing up to someone new. And then you all of a sudden like completely freeze on the spot. So you always actually have to be keeping that muscle warm. And I think that's great. I think one of the things I'll also say is share often. Don't be afraid to share things. Like, don't be afraid to share things with people, and don't be afraid to think that maybe your work is too strange, too unrelated for the world. I remember when I was first starting out in my creative journey, and I really wanted to write, characters and settings that represented my experience as, an Asian Canadian woman, and I wanted to write stories that had, main characters that looked like me and talked like me and had my experiences. And I basically didn't, because at the time I felt like the only work that existed out there that talked about like being Asian was the Asian immigrant experience or the Asian Canadian. So it was always about like the family. It was about addressing that dynamic. It was about, my life, like, the famous one being, shows like Kim's Convenience. In the theater world, it was often about that experience, but it wasn't like a cool, Asian girl in like in a historic. One of the ones I wanted to write was a Canadian historical fiction, and I was like, why would there be an Asian face in that? And then lo and behold, many years later, we're doing more blind cast, like we're doing more diverse and blind casting than ever. And there is actually some. I don't know the name of the show. I'm going to apologize. But I remember this. There's a very specific Western kind of like martial arts based. I'm sure dystopian show out there with like an Asian martial artist actor. And we're seeing more kind of like gang shows, like historical gang shows that feature like people of all diverse races. So it exists now. So like, it gets there. Why not be the first person to share that idea? Like, be absolutely fearless in it. I will always say, be fearless. Continue to be fearless. I said that very intensely.
Into the Badlands, I think, is the show that you might be talking about.
I think it is.
It's a good show.
Yeah. I clearly don't watch it a lot because I'm also scared of violence and tension, high tension and suspense. But I also really loved seeing, seeing the dream of what I wanted to see in characters in fiction manifesting today. So I think that's wonderful. And lots of amazing advice from the chat too, by the way. So thank you all for chiming in.
Yeah, and actually, I'm going to say specifically for the replay crew, folks watching this on replay, two things. Number one, we didn't have a chance to read all the advice out, but all of it flashed up on the screen as we were speaking. So take time to watch back and watch the video and read it, because all of it is really, really solid. I cannot recommend it enough. And also, replay crew, if you have your own answer to this question, if you could bestow one piece of writing advice to your younger self, what would it be? Or just a tip to someone who's starting their journey with the Story Engine deck, put it in the comments. We would love to hear what your thoughts on this are. And given how good the stuff in the chat was, we may end up rounding some of this up for like a post later, because I think there's just so much good advice.
Yeah, I think that's actually great. Yeah. I saw one question from Judith here, saying that you'd love the storage boxes, but postage in the UK doubles the price. So I hear your feedback. Maybe we'll consider doing something for the future for people who want to make their own boxes. But I will say, like, if you join that creative collective, there's people who are sharing their own storage solutions all the time. The thing is that if there's anything we've learned, or at least I know, we all like to store our things a little bit differently. So, we saw someone who literally woodworked and reconfigured an entire desk to become their own unique storage system. We have folks who like using our foldable storage boxes because they're modular, they're small, and that way you can take things on the go with you. And then, of course, I'm assuming you're alluding to the Leviathan storage boxes, which are enormous. Now, one thing I will say, we do have free shipping at different price thresholds. So for the UK, I believe it is, Peter, you're going to have to remind me here because there's so many different numbers.
120 pounds.
Yeah, at 120 pounds, you do get free shipping. So if you're looking at a few things, combine it. The storage boxes do count towards that. And then you can get free shipping. You don't have to worry about the shipping costs on those storage boxes. But yes, they are Leviathans for a reason.
And we have another question we got here. Do the decks have instruction manuals with them? Yes. Every one of our decks comes with an instruction manual. For the Story Engine, it's 8 pages, and I'll just quickly show what it looks like so that people know. It walks you through what the card types are, how they fit together into making a story, and then walks you through, it's kind of almost self-tutorialized. Once you learn how to do the basic prompt, which looks like this here, you'll know how to adjust one thing to make the next kind of prompt, and then the next kind of prompt. And eventually you'll be able to create these really cool story structures where you have multiple characters who both have conflicting motivations attached to the same sort of center point in the story, or one character who's choosing between 2 different things in their life and they have to make a difficult decision, or 2 characters who want different things from each other and have an asymmetrical relationship. So every deck comes with an instruction booklet. There, for the main decks, it's 8 pages full of really, really good material for getting a ton of use out of your deck. These decks are like, they're good for life. Like, you can reuse these so endlessly. And then all of the expansions come with a little guide booklet for recommendations on how to integrate them into your existing prompts, so you don't have to learn too much new to be able to use those. But certain expansions have special rules, and those ones we do have instruction manuals showing you how to use them. So everything comes with an instruction manual and advice on how to use it. But something else you'll see in the instruction manuals, our first instruction is usually to adapt any guideline that isn't working for you. So we're aware that people have different creative processes. We'd rather that you find a way to suit your process than that you try to follow our rules. So a lot of the guidebooks are designed with that philosophy in mind.
Yeah, you'll actually sometimes we'll even notice when we're all together working with the decks, especially at conventions like Gen Con, that sometimes we all use the decks a little bit differently. There's definitely times where I've shown up and I've looked down at what I know is a Peter pile, because things I've been like stuck in all different ways. Usually I can tell because Peter, of course, being the mastermind creator of the deck, breaks his own rules more often than everyone else. Or I wouldn't say rules, because again, it's guidebooks, but Peter definitely has all these new ideas of doing things. I have very much an engineer brain. So I know there were some comments there speaking about needing to kind of follow the guidebook and use it. I'm that kind of person. I very much prefer the step 1. Okay, step 2. And that's how I prefer doing it. And whereas sometimes I find Peter's like step 9.5, and I'm like, what? Where do we start here from? It was actually one of those fun things where we learned how differently our brains work when Peter first showed me Lore Master's deck back when it was in the like post-it note form, where he said, here's how it works. We do this, but then you can also try it this way. And then you also try this one. I was like, no, Peter, you have to explain it to me in the 101 way. And let's do it this way and then this way. I need to think very, very linearly. And it just really shows how different everyone's creative process is. So hopefully that was useful. And again, like take it as you may, I suppose, like the best way to describe it to people.
Yeah, and actually, Farah mentioned the live stream we did for, I believe it was Free RPG Day, where we had 5 different creators come in and do speed world building sessions with us, so we could see how they use the decks and use them differently. We did speed rounds. You can check that out on our past YouTube live streams. Also, the Story Engine Workshops series that we did earlier this year, where we brought in different writers of creative disciplines to see how they use the decks and get their advice for creating in their different genres, was fantastic. But specifically on the speed building front, that's actually what we're about to start doing here today.
Yes.
We do want to get into making some prompts with you. So when we thought about what we wanted to do for the birthday, I wanted to see how everybody uses the deck, and I also wanted to see how what everyone's favorite expansions and boosters were. So the way that we're going to do this is Zach is going to join us shortly, and each one of us is going to lead a speed round. Because of we've been running a little bit over time and we started late, I think I'm going to keep us on 10-minute timers. Everyone gets 10 minutes to make their story
I can
prompt.
do it. I'm a producer, man. I'm a consummate time stickler.
But that's going to include like talking about the prompts and what they mean, as well as the time to throw to the chat for a vote. I encourage everybody to throw 1 or 2 decisions for their prompt over to the chat to see what the chat thinks, again, so we can bring more brains into our brainstorm. So I'm really looking forward to this. And I think that'll take us basically to time.
Yeah.
So
just very quickly to anyone who's joining us a little bit later, this is the Story Engine 6th birthday party. Thank you all for celebrating with us today. We have a birthday sale that's going on all week. It's 10% off if you're buying our main deck or any of the bundles that include our main deck. So that includes like our trilogy and our Alpha and Omega bundles. We have 15% off if you're buying any of the expansions or boosters that's related to the Story Engine deck. And then it's 20% off any of our accessories that are Story Engine deck related or any of our PDFs as well. We also have an amazing giveaway. We just released our brand new Storyteller's Workbook. The PDF resource that has been provided for all our Deck of Worlds backers, but you can also get it on our website for $16.99. Today, for the live stream, we have a giveaway. So one lucky winner will have a chance to win this new workbook. All you have to do is follow us on any of our social media platforms, whether that be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok, you name it. We most likely got it. And share your favorite prompt and make sure you tag us, because tagging us is how we know that you did share it, and we will put it all into a hat at the end of the live stream and draw a name out where you'll get a chance to have a winner. And then, of course, make sure you keep staying tuned as well, because we're going to be sharing a little bit of a sneak peek about what's coming up and what new expansions we're going to be releasing as well. I see more questions coming in. By the way, I want to say to chat, since there was some really great feedback talking about loving how we brought guests on, how we brought guests on and stuff like that, to do live streams. If you have ideas on what you want our future live streams to be, send us an email at hello@storyenginedeck.com or send us a DM on any of our social media platforms, because we like to know what we can bring to you guys too. We have things that we like doing, but we also want to do things that you like doing. So if these speed rounds, they bring these guests on, doing workshops, we're learning from other experts, other published writers or producers is something that's really valuable to you, definitely let us know. We do listen to your feedback, and we kind of use that to help us come up with our next big ideas. I see more questions coming in, but I do want to get started on the speed prompts, because we are running on an even shorter time, and next thing you know, Peter's gonna be like 8 minutes for everyone instead. So So I did see a really quick question about whether we would try and create like decks that are more accessible to folks, whether they are like I think the question was about whether we could do braille based for visually impaired. We have so many ideas, and we want to be able to make things as accessible as possible. I know Peter, you can probably speak a little bit more to this, but I know some of our print and play PDFs the colors are designed in a way that it's colorblind friendly. Am I correct? Oh no, Peter, you muted yourself.
Oh, my bad. So a lot of our graphic design works on some principles for making things readable and colorblind friendly and accessible. So we definitely do have a number of accessibility things that we take into consideration when we're designing our decks and products. However, we don't currently have a solution for using the deck in a way for somebody who is blind. Our guidebooks are exported in a way where you can have the guidebook read to you through different PDF readers, so we make sure that the text is all accessible in those. But for the cards themselves, we don't currently have a solution for that, unfortunately.
Yeah,
it's kind of like in the same category for like translating into other languages, or like we would love to do more of that. It is none of us knows how to read Braille, or none of us knows how to speak Spanish or any of that. So it's like, it's kind of like one of those things where like it's hard to commit to without really knowing what we'd be getting into.
I think I don't want to get too deep into the weeds about this. And you know, the true and heart of it is that we are three dreamers who have a lot of ideas and things we would like to do, whether they be new expansions, whether they be translating things to other languages. And hopefully the goal is that, you know, we will be able to bring more things, like more accessibility and more opportunities and more things out there for the future. Sometimes for us, it's as small as being able to print something that's colorblind friendly. Sometimes it is something as small as creating a storage box solution that suits everyone's needs. And hopefully in the future, there's going to be more opportunities to meet your needs as well.
Yeah, but thank you for letting us know about that gap. The way that we get ideas for where to develop next is by hearing about what people need. So thank you for sharing that. We are always open to receiving that feedback.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Shall we do some speed prompts?
We shall. So I'm going to add the heart of the cards to the screen. And as mentioned, we have to do the sideways thing here. So I'm just going to take a minute to find the best layout
sideways
for this.
thing.
Okay, I think this is going to be our best way to
We are writers, not tech masters.
And as we start here, I am going to bring Zach on board. Zach, I can see you backstage. Are you ready to join? That's a thumbs up. Okay, and Zach, I've added to the screen, but he is not appearing, so that's going to be something we have to take a minute to figure out. Let's try this. There we go. All right. And I'm going to just reposition him here. Okay. I think that works. I think we're all here.
Yay.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So in fact, Zach, thank you for joining us. For those who don't know, Mr. Zach Schuster is the graphic designer for the Story Engine deck. We work really closely together on like product development and the graphic design are so hand in hand. Design ends up informing function, and function makes requests of design. So we do a lot of jamming and iterating. And Zach is also a comic artist and writer and game designer in his own right. And I thought it'd be fun to include him in doing some speed prompts with us, and also getting a sense of what his favorite expansions, etc. are.
Yeah, I'm happy to be on.
Yeah. Oh, maybe before we go into speed prompts, Zach, what is advice you would give to your younger self?
That's a good question. I should have thought of that. I would tell my younger self that it just, as long as you're still having fun making the story, not that it's always fun to make stuff when you do it for a living, but as long as you have that spark of like, there's something fun in here, you got to keep pushing and developing that, because people can tell when it's not something you're passionate about, and it's worth it to develop the ideas that speak to you, because other people will get on board and enjoy the stuff you make if you enjoy it too.
Rad.
I think that's the most perfect answer.
Yeah.
Coming from someone who until very, very recently was young and would have needed this advice, but now no longer does.
Yeah. Okay, well, congratulations, Zach. You win the advice game. Your prize is a prompt. Actually, why don't we have you kick us off here? So, what 2 decks or expansions or boosters do you want to combine for your prompt?
I'm gonna do Jackboots and Chainlink, the dystopian booster, and the Fairy Trails and Grim Tales fairy tale booster.
Okay,
I
dystopian
did a
fairy
little blog
tales.
a couple of years ago on mixing the boosters to make, I think we called them booster cocktails, and
Yep.
I did mythology and post-apocalypse. But I like making weird combos of these to see what we get, because it's always, I find that pushes me out of my comfort zone. I really like the boosters because they're so small and reusable and specific that I get some cool fun combos.
Yeah, yeah. Whenever I'm trying to channel vibes, the boosters are really good for bringing in the vibes of a genre.
And since Eric is working really hard at being hard of the cards, do you want me to start writing the names of all the folks who have been entering our contest? I figured I would just say this so that I can take some of the hard work. It's hard to be hard of the cards and heart of the hat at the same time.
It's like rubbing your tummy and patting your head.
Man, that's a blast from the past. Does anyone remember the writing, the rubbing your tummy and patting your head thing?
I feel like it never goes out of style with dads everywhere.
Yeah, I would agree.
So which one do we want to start with? Do we want to start with fairies or post-apocalyptic?
I thought we're blending
I
them.
shuffled
We
mine
are,
up
but we have
to
to
make
draw
your
one.
job as hard as possible.
We're drawing one of each. Is that it?
No, I just gave him a shuffle and I'm gonna see what I get.
Oh no! So we're gonna draw on we're all gonna draw. Or Eric is gonna draw for all of us, but we're gonna dictate our choices to Eric, so
Gotcha,
that we
okay.
have a camera that can show what is being drawn instead of us just describing
Sure.
cards.
I had them in front of me, but cool, that works too.
Appreciate you being prepared.
Yeah. Won't happen again.
Learned his lesson the first time.
only the most insane wildness in the future.
So first card is our agent a fairy tale character or a dystopian character?
Let's do fairy tale then.
Also, impending doom. Here's a 10-minute timer that I'm gonna put on the shelf behind me. You can visually see how much time is left.
Is it gonna make like a loud squeal too?
Oh, that's not visible at all.
That's readable, right? So is our character. Can you read that at all?
I can when you hold it in front of the camera.
You're holding it to the side of the camera right now.
There we go.
Perfect.
A fairy, a step parent, a monarch, or a usurper?
And we're asking chat for this?
We're
No,
asking you.
We're asking you, but for 2 of the votes on your prompts, I would love for you to be able to throw to chat to see what chat
Sure.
would say.
Let's do chat for this one. Let's let them pick. That sounds fun.
Okay, so sending the parameters for chat if you've never voted before. Basically, we will count you down from 3, 2, 1 and go, and that's when you hit your answer. You can have your answer preloaded, but you can't put it out. You can't hit enter until we say 3, 2, 1 go. So the options we have is a monarch,
A fairy, a usurper, and a step parent.
So 3, 2, 1, vote.
So much harder than it.
And Eric will learn to work in mirror screening.
Eventually, there we go.
Oh, wow. Usurper came and just swept it away.
You like a usurper, I guess.
Okay. I think that'll tie in nicely with our dystopic stuff. So let's do one from the dystopian deck for the engine. Something needs usurping.
Does our usurper... So much mirroring.
I can read if you hold. Do they want to... Oh, you got it. Okay.
Want to light the power of the revolution with the match of, or do they...
The powder keg.
Or do they want to stop the government from discovering something?
I'm gonna move ahead and let's put a pin in that and grab the anchor card to see what because I think that could change what we're doing here.
I often will hedge my bet.
All right, we're hedging. A very dystopian thing to do is hedge. So is our anchor card coming from the dystopian deck or the fairy tale deck?
I think fairy tale again. Let's get a magical MacGuffin up in here to fight the government with.
Is our government, or is our MacGuffin, a quest, a fruit, a woodland, or a rose?
Let's have chat decide this one again. That's always fun. The big key things in our story. Let's leave it up to the crazy angry mob outside the gates here.
Maroki, you're the chat conductor.
Okay, as the chat conductor, you have the option of a fruit, a quest, a woodland, or a rose. In 3, 2, 1, vote.
I appreciate the other left's comment.
Whoa. Whoa. Okay, hold on. Move.
I think
You
it
guys-
might be Rose.
I think Rose has
I
it.
think Rose.
Oh, Rose snuck in there.
All right, so Rose has it. So now can we get that purple one back up in crystal clear focus again? I think I like the powder keg. That's such a fun phrase. So they want to, yeah. And now I'm picturing the rose as maybe some kind of symbol in this story. Doesn't have to be a literal rose. And so let's grab a conflict card.
Oh, actually, if I'm going to pause you briefly, even though you only have 5 minutes left, to describe
Yes.
a little bit what's coming together in your head. What's starting to form for you?
So this usurper has a government to take on, as all usurpers often do. And so maybe the rose is a symbol in this to like of rebellion, something like Mockingjay. I'm getting kind of the vibes of Hunger Games, Mockingjay, how they had their pins and their symbols and their kind of coded messages to talk about rebellion. That's all I have right now until we get a conflict going, I think.
Cool.
But I'm looking forward to seeing some aspect cards in there to jazz those up, and maybe we'll discover more about that rose. But for now, I think we do the engine, or sorry, the conflict card. So let's do a conflict. I don't know which one's cooler. Surprise me, Eric.
Being surprised. Coming.
But someone will be executed for it. But it will mean getting involved in someone else's fight. I kind of like someone else's fight, like how I just watched Andor season 2, and as even though it kind of outstayed its welcome, the early arc of the scattered rebellions all competing with each other was a very interesting thing to delve into. So maybe I'm seeing more of like this usurper has to unite the factions or at least help another rebellion working in different ways against the same or different governments. I like the idea of having to make these rebellions all kind of link up. So let's grab some aspect cards
And
and learn more about.
Chat, I would love to hear your interpretations of where you would go with this prompt. Do you have the same read that Zach does, that the rose is symbolic? Are you imagining a literal rose? I want to hear how you would interpret the prompt.
So I'm going to go ahead and give you 2 aspect cards. The first is dystopian. We have inspiring, populist, downtrodden, or misleading. And on the fairy tale card, we have foul, mossy, exquisite, or amphibious.
I think I want amphibious on our usurper, and I think I want misleading on our rose to tie it more firmly into a symbol. Would a rose by any other name smell as sweet? Kind of bullshit. Yeah, I was hoping to steer this more into fairy tale territory because so far this is all very dystopic, but now we have an amphibious rebellion leader figure.
That's a frog prince, if nothing else, right?
Yeah, 100%. Let's a rebellious frog prince with a rose that I'm trying to think if it's a physical rose and the petals fall off and it reveals something, or maybe it's just a symbol that stands for something else.
I feel like a misleading rose could be beautiful, but then actually the thorns are poisonous or something, or like it actually like has a scent that can woo you in but kill you.
There was a card in the dystopic deck that was about a bioweapon, I think, under the anchor. So maybe the rose could be a literal object and it's engineered. The thorns are instead like some kind of chemical agent.
So I'm seeing a really interesting combo of 2 stories that I love. I can't remember the exact title of it. I think it's like Rappaccini's Daughter or The Garden of Rappaccini's Daughter, but it's a short story where basically there's a guy with a big complicated plant garden that includes some really poisonous stuff, including I think there is a poisonous rose, as well as or maybe it's The Birthmark. Maybe The Birthmark is the title.
Peter
of the
always stops at the most important moment.
and then also just straight up the Iliad. Like what starts the whole war over Helen of Troy is Strife throws an apple into a garden that says to the fairest, and then gets the gods and goddesses arguing over who the fairest person is. I feel like the rose is this like classic gift symbol that like, especially a poisoned rose that's given, but like who is it for, causing an argument. I think that combination of things could be really interesting as like tropes to pull on for structuring this story.
I mean, there's even like Alice in Wonderland painting the roses red.
And the Frog Prince and Beauty and the Beast with the rose is a big symbol in that. Like, there's lots we can draw from here that tie this right back into mythology. I mean, like you said, apple and garden mythology, like the Garden of Eden with the not poison apple, but an apple that was a trick.
Yeah.
Yes.
So just for the chat, just because they don't get a chance to really see the screen very well, maybe Eric, you can write it out into the chat just so that they have the prompt. And
we will take photos of all
we will take photos of all this, but
later.
just so the chat that can have it, so you can have it for your own inspiration. An amphibious usurper wants to light the powder keg of revolution with the match of a misleading rose, but it will mean getting involved in someone else's fight.
Cool. Well, you have like probably 3 seconds left. Do you want to pitch us the movie version? Give us the movie pitch.
Yeah, so a frog prince who is set to be wed is giving his gift to his new his bride-to-be, which is to form some political alliance. And yet this rose is in fact a poison. The thorns are poisonous, misleadingly. And what was that red last conflict card again?
It will mean getting involved in someone else's fight.
Yeah, so he's going to be he's going to be joining the rebellion, and as a prominent leader, he's like this prince. He'll be a big figurehead for this rebellion. That's my pitch.
That's I would watch the movie. I would greenlight that script. The timer did go off partway through, so dang, you did it. 10 minutes. You've pitched a movie in 10 minutes. I'm into it.
Thanks to the Story Engine deck.
Thanks to the Story Engine deck, available at storyenginedeck.com. 10 to 20% off this week only. I do like the exercise of this. It is really fun to see how you can go from nothing to pitching a script in 10 minutes. And some of that is the Story Engine deck. A lot of that is being someone like Zach, who has published and written and planned a lot of stories and has a good understanding of story structure. Takes practice, takes a bit of work, but it is really cool, the kind of stuff you can build as you get more used to using those story muscles.
I think it's one of those things that goes to show. So, I know one of the big things we always say is that Story Engine helps unlock creative potential, and it can help smash through writer's block. So obviously, if you're kind of hitting a wall and you're looking at needing to break through that, the Story Engine X is a really great way to ideate. But if you are a creative type and you feel like you're, even if you're someone like Peter, right, like Zach, published, has your works out there, and you're constantly just flowing with ideas, it's still really great to use the decks because it is a way to maybe challenge you with prompts and ideas that you might not normally make the connections for, or maybe your natural path of imagination might not go under. You might discover new ideas. It's also, again, a way to warm up your muscle. I know one of the things like that I experience a lot when I'm doing demos and showing the deck to other people is often having them receive a prompt and kind of saying like, wait, like, I don't see how this ties to this. I'm like, but what if it does? And that's where you get the most amazing new story ideas and new combinations of genres and characters coming together.
Yeah. Also, I see Zach has his pen out, and it's making me wondering if he's starting to actually jam down ideas for this.
I am sorry.
I want to see a really
get them while they're fresh.
I want to see a cute comic come out of this.
Yeah. Well, Zach, I know that you're prepping for a convention, so if you have to go, you can go. No hard feels. If you want to stick around till the end, you are welcome to. There's no expectation either way, depending on what your schedule holds.
I'll stick around. I've got
awesome.
That means Zach can help. Yeah, that's good because Zach can help be the vote moderator maybe when it's mine or your turn.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Who wants to go next?
Do you want to go next, or should I go next?
Yeah.
Chad,
Okay,
Chad, who should go next?
okay, yeah.
You
So
tell us.
Eric, Maroki, or Peter to go next. And
Three,
sorry, you're the
2, 1,
conductor.
go. Now we get to see who's the favorite.
Well, I don't know. It's kind of like who goes next is not necessarily who is the favorite, because there's different reasons for wanting different parts of the sequence.
You know, in competition, sometimes picking someone to go next is not necessarily the next you want to be.
Yeah.
So far, Eric is holding. There's the one time Chad gets shy. They're like, "Oh no, vodka."
Yep.
Maroki wins it. And no, not a single vote for Peter. Shut out. I actually just lost my official party status.
No, that's the story engine deck rallying against you. That's the rebellious teenager. He's like, "Don't let father go. He will embarrass me."
So
Hey, wait a second. A usurper just lit the powder keg of revolution using the spark of a vote.
I mean, that's usually, I guess, how revolutions. I guess no, revolutions don't usually start with votes, but
That's true.
In
Yeah.
this fairy tale,
There's
the
the
votes
moment
matter so
popular.
much that one single vote made the difference here.
Yeah.
That's the fairy tale half coming in here.
Maroki, what expansion cocktail can we mix for you?
So I want to do science fiction with the superheroes booster.
Ooh, that's fun.
And I have rationale behind this. I actually had a different cocktail at first, and then I wanted to kind of pay ode to, like a genre that I thought, I never thought would necessarily captivate me, but did. So essentially, what happened is that, in 2013, I had knee surgery, and I was going to be out for several weeks. At this time, they had announced that Guardians of the Galaxy, the movie, was going to be made. I knew nothing about this. I don't know anything about Guardians of the Galaxy. I wasn't really an MCU person. I didn't actually read that many Marvel-based comic books, but my best friend did. And he basically he loved Guardians of the Galaxy. And he essentially was like, "Maroki," he like handed me a stack of books this big. He's like, "Since you're incapacitated for several weeks, here's the stack of the how you should read Guardians of the Galaxy to get you prepared for the movie." But it started with Nova, so it was all the different series around, so not just Guardians, but all the surrounding universe stuff. And he would say, read book 1, 2, 3 of Nova, then read Guardians 1, then read book 1 of Annihilation, then go back to Nova 5. He basically built the entire stack and made me read it chronologically, and I was hooked. So I think it's actually a cool, and when I was thinking about it, I was like, yeah, that's very science fiction and superheroes, isn't it? And so here we are, cocktailing some science fiction superheroes and see if I can create something that will inspire me as well. So
Awesome. I'm setting 10 minutes on the timer.
Okay. All right. So
where are we starting?
I want to start with an agent card from superheroes. I'll
Good
say.
call.
Yeah.
Is our superhero, is our character, I should say, a billionaire,
It's
a champion? Wait, I went backwards.
okay.
Nope.
A thrill seeker, or a acrobat.
Oh. I want to okay. See, I want to say acrobat because I do circus, but I'm a thrill seeker, so that's also me too. Let's do a thrill seeker. And then from science fiction, let's pull the engine card.
Does our thrill seeker want to make a weapon out of something? Or do they want the rare material they can only get from something?
Ooh. Chat, you can help me with this one. So
Weapon or rare material?
Zach, count us down.
Sorry, I didn't pay attention how you were doing that last time.
It's okay. It's a 3, 2, 1, go. Count them down.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
So weapon or rare material, or yeah.
Yep.
Tell me, guys.
Nope. Material's off to a good start.
Oh,
I think material got it.
material got it.
Material
Okay,
got
what's
it.
the rare material? You can tell I'm the producer. I'm like, do it as fast as possible. It's actually true. Gail asking, is he a good guy or villain? I actually haven't decided whether this person is going to be like the main character or villain, or maybe the main character is the like anti-hero style, or maybe it's a villain story. We don't know that yet.
It's like, is it Tony Stark using the rare material, or is it Thanos using the rare material?
Is Thanos really a villain, though? Anyways.
yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I felt a lot of sympathy for him. Anyways, okay, let's go. Let's.
If half of the people in your life mysteriously dissolve into ash, you know it was Maroki.
It's a randomization, okay? Anyways, object card from science fiction. I deserve more time for Eric being slow with the cards. An energy shield, a set of coordinates, a cloaking device, and a nebula. Ooh, a nebula. Once rare material they can only get from a nebula. I want the nebula. I love nebulas. I'm a giant space nerd. I used to love looking at pictures of nebulas all the time. I would literally just like print them out on an inkjet printer and just drain my parents' ink just so I could like have pictures of nebulas.
That's like the most ink intensive thing you could print a picture of, because it's so much black, rich black. Like, wow.
Like black and blues, a little bit of yellows, and then if you like got the tiniest drop of water on it, it was just game over.
It's like the only thing that beats it is like a depiction of black ink.
The last weekend I was actually out with my family at a cottage, and so I grew up actually watching stars with my father. We would have telescopes and we would track star clusters and galaxies in the sky, and we actually were trying to find the Ring Nebula, which literally looks like a ring. But unfortunately the telescope that we had wasn't powerful enough to find it, and we couldn't even see it, not even as a low smudge, but it's really cute. So Nebula is really on my mind right now. Did you just pull me a conflict card from something without telling me?
I did. It's the superhero deck.
Okay. It's the conflict card from the superhero deck. Show it to me.
But their sanctum will be destroyed.
Oh.
But they will lose their sight.
We've heard about Maroki. It makes me think that losing a sidekick is fine if it's for a nebula. Small price to pay.
There's always another.
It's only 50% of the team. They can just go away.
Yeah.
Oh my god. All right, chat. You're gonna help me with this one. Is it sidekick or their sanctum? Count us down, Zach.
Oh, can I actually, before we count down, third option. Third option is both. If you turn a conflict sideways, you can force the character to choose between the two outcomes.
Oh my god.
So you can pick sanctum, sidekick, or both.
Okay, sanctum, sidekick, or both. Go ahead, Zach.
3, 2, 1, go. I didn't have to ask for help learning how to count this time, which is
He's all grown up.
1, 2,
Oh, both. Both just
1,
swept
2,
it.
5.
Oh, the second Peter offered that, it was like, this is why I said Peter just like, it's like Maroki likes her little guidelines, and Peter's like, but wait, there's
But what if
more.
chaos shenanigans?
Oh my god, this is so intense. I didn't expect it to actually go there. This is actually kind of a great story. I'm really excited about this. I actually wasn't even sure if it would give me the space science fiction I was looking for too, because obviously science fiction can fall in the realms of just like technology, and like like future, but not necessarily space, or it could have had nothing to do with any of the universes that we occupy. So okay, so I need an aspect card, and I'm gonna grab an aspect card I'll grab it from the superhero side.
I could give you both, one of each if you
Okay,
want.
give me one of each. How much time do I have left, Peter?
You have this many.
It looks
That
scary.
4
Yeah,
minutes.
it looks like
4
less
minutes.
than 4 minutes. Okay, that's what I suspect.
From the superhero deck, we have growing, X-ray, masked, or shrinking.
Growing. Okay, and then give me one. You said you were going to give me one from science
I
fiction.
am. You can use both of them.
We'll see.
From the sci-fi deck, we have hovering, telekinetic, viral, and dark.
Okay, wait. Hovering, telekinetic, viral, and
I kind of dig a shrinking nebula.
I kind of dig a shrinking nebula too, especially if it is like they're taking resources from it, or it's becoming rare because it is shrinking, and there's like maybe a black hole involved, and that's partially why it's shrinking, so it makes it even more dangerous and rare. Let me see the other aspect card. Let's see. Okay, thrill seeker, and there is hovering, viral, telekinetic. Oh, what if it's a telekinetic thrill seeker?
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Right? Maybe the
Man.
thrills, like maybe the thrills they're actually seeking isn't always like it could be physically dangerous, but it could also be just like dangerous because they're mucking about with people's minds. So they like sitting on the cusp of people's consciousness where you could get lost if you like go too deep. And maybe part of the reason why they actually lose their sidekick is that they're connected to their side, like they're so deeply interconnected with their sidekick. That if you like that they almost can control them or manipulate them. Sometimes when you push them too far, like they might just have like a full like they could literally be their cause of death because it like popped their brain. Basically, you push them too hard. Oh, okay. Let's see. A telekinetic thrill seeker wants a rare material they can only get from a shrinking nebula, but their sanctum will be destroyed, but they will lose their sidekick.
So, chat, I want to hear your interpretations. We've seen a couple come in. Maruki, you've got a little less than 2 minutes. I would like to hear your movie pitch for this movie that you have just created.
Okay. So, I think that this telekinetic thrill seeker is someone who is kind of seen as maybe like a local hero. Like they're really like they have a skill set that no one else has. Their mental capabilities are absolutely incredible. Far surpasses anyone with telekinetic abilities. So I'm going to say that like this is a community that actually has a lot of them actually have the ability to kind of be at least like at the minimum empathetic, if of not being able to do something with telekinetic. But because they're so much of a local hero, they actually seek thrills. They push the limits of their abilities, and they want this rare material from the nebula. But I will say they don't even want it for necessarily reasons of power. It's the thrill. It's like the danger and the thrill because it's partially shrinking because the nebula is in a black hole, and in going to do this, they essentially completely muck it up. Like their arrogance completely mucks it up, and they are caught in this moment where this sidekick of theirs, which is just someone who was like young and an admirer and really wanted to learn from them, he'll either have to sacrifice them and kill them, because they're basically going to drop like the mental link that they have or overload their mental link in order to save their sanctum. And I actually am leaning towards the side that they probably will sacrifice their sidekick for their greater good, for saving like their sanctum community, but they're actually going to end up becoming like ousted as a result of it, and they have to have a redemption story from that.
Oh, book 2 is set up. Amazing. Well, we did have a question earlier about whether or not Wyvern gets any royalties for helping come up with your next novel.
When it's out there, I promise all of you will get a little something. I will include you all in my movie. How about that? It'll probably be a movie. This has like movie energy to me. Like I can visually see like all the like the drama and the chaos and the like trauma from it. So
we're going to do one more prompt. Eric is going to lead us in a prompt, and then we are going to do our draw as well as our character questions reveal. So Eric, what 2 sets do you want to make a cocktail
I think
from?
I will select the Pulp Fiction booster and the horror expansion.
Oh, actually, and to answer the Marshall's question earlier, the Marshall of Redemption Town, the Pulp booster would also be really good. It's really tied into that Western comics era. So thank you for pulling that, Eric. That reminded me.
So I will pick my agent first. I am dealing with an adventurer, a folk hero, a knight, or a rider. And I will let the chat do this one. So folk hero, knight, adventurer, or rider.
In 3, 2, 1, go. Peter, is the timer started?
Oh, no. I'm gonna go to 9 minutes.
Eric gets extra time.
Here, I've set him back a little bit. He's just
I-
short of the 2-minute mark.
Unacceptable.
Wow, Ryder right to the front.
Okay, Ryder's got it. Everyone's understanding the like urgency now.
And I'm going horror for my engine. So, wants to trigger a memory involving something, or wants to escape a trauma through or involving something. I am going to go escape a trauma.
You're riding, but what are you riding away from there, partner?
And then we're going to go back to the horror deck to figure that one out.
We're gonna find a way to blend all of these characters together, or like all of these into the same story at the end of it all.
Does our trauma involve an abattoir, a cabin, a knife, or a trophy? I will let the chat do this one again as well. In 3, 2, 1, go. Cabin, knife, abattoir, or trophy?
Eric's like totally just got this on dial now. He's like, I'm hard of the cards. I'm doing it straight. I'm the one doing the prompts, and I'm leading the vote.
Also, I realized that I said I was going to give you 8 minutes, I think. Did I say that out loud? Or did I just
No,
You
you
said
said,
9.
you said
I
you would
said
dial
9.
it back a little bit.
Oh, okay. I was going to possibly
Ooh.
shorten his time overall, but okay. I'm going to set it back then. To
The
which-
trophy get it?
Trophy got it. Not what I expected.
Interesting.
See, I know where I think I know where I'm going with this.
Talk us through what's in your head. You've got time.
It's kind of like one of those like the most dangerous game type situations. Somebody who is on the run and they are the trophy, or they're trying to avoid becoming the trophy.
Interesting.
The bonus round combine all three. That's
Okay.
Peter's job at the end of it.
Yeah, I got to pitch a really, really weird movie.
For the conflict, but they will unleash a monster, or they will endanger a rare creature. I think definitely unleash a monster. That seems a little bit more horrific. This card didn't come from the horror deck, believe it or not.
Are they the monster?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe they become that as part of that ritual. And finally, I will draw an aspect card. Start with the horror deck. I have pious, ruthless, unsettling, and muttering.
I like the alliteration. Ruthless Rider.
Oh, I do like that.
You can go with that.
It's very Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Also going to draw a Pulp Fiction card. And I get exuberant, riddle-filled, vile, or resourceful.
And just remember that you can tuck under a conflict in an engine. So if we want to characterize the monster, that is also an option that we have.
Although I kind of like a vile trophy here.
Oh, yeah, that is good. All right, so go ahead and read us that prompt.
So we have a ruthless rider wants to escape a trauma through or involving a trophy, a vile trophy, but they will unleash a monster.
Is the vile trophy his like heart?
Maybe.
Oh,
Ooh.
yeah, because that's the thing. Like trophy doesn't have to be that literal sense that we're usually associated with awards. They just usually are like some sort of.
When they say trophy hunter, it's usually like the antlers or something like that.
What turns you into a monster if you lose it? If somebody's out to collect it?
And is it part of like the trauma?
I mean, I feel like the being the trophy is pretty traumatic. So I was going pretty literal on that one.
Could just be his head.
Yeah. But I think that the idea that like the people doing the chasing think that something terrible will happen if they don't succeed. That it's like part of some ritual, and it's like their society will crumble. I'm not sure if the monster is good or bad yet. It might be a good monster if these people are evil, but
it would be really interesting if in that like classic like kind of Western story way, you start off with like the solitary rider, you don't know what they're doing or riding from, and eventually you find out this was like the sacrifice who escaped. So now they're being hunted because they have to complete that sacrifice. But that's like if you unparcel that meaning over a series of scenes, it could be really, really interesting and fun to kind of drip that backstory out while you're watching the chase evolve. And like again, the chasers have these weird implements and like ritual items, and the bit comes together in pieces. I think that could be a really fun structure.
I think this is my favorite of the prompts. It's really, really cool.
This one's interesting. This one's really interesting.
Well, there we have it. 3 prompts. And then the bonus round is that Peter has to, in the next 4 minutes, blend them all together into one story.
Okay, so I think book 1 is actually Zach's. I think we have our frog prince usurper, who wants to start this revolution using the weird poisoned rose as kind of a poison pill gift, but gets involved in someone else's fight. I feel like I thought maybe the rose could be a trophy. The rose could be the trophy that's being hunted down. I wonder if the rose, kind of like in like a classic, like the thing that contains the soul, like if the rose is holding the soul of the character who turns out to be a rider, and at the end of book 1, we have the rider escaping from or like gets unleashed from the rose basically and freed. They're now on the run, but if they're not put back in, then we get the big monster that gets freed. So book 2 is following the escaped rider from this sort of dystopian fairy tale kingdom as they try and escape escape the revolutionary people who are hunting them down, escape that other revolution they got involved with that are hunting them down, escaping the government who's hunting them down. The other thing that could be interesting is if they escaping from the rose are like something that is naturally going to start to be kind of like thorns and vines growing. The longer they are escaped from captivity, the more they start to transform. So there's actually a danger in them being like escaped out of there. And then I think that all this takes place on a planet in the nebula that the Thrill Seeker is going to. In fact, it could be that like either that the oh, actually, I like the idea that whatever the thorn material that grows as this rose soul person escapes, the longer they're out of captivity. The longer they are gone, the more of these vines grow, the more they become this heart of this like weird briar tangle. And that is the material that the thrill-seeking telekinetic is trying to reach. That's the thing that they're going to that nebula for.
Ooh. The other thought I possibly had is that these, like the other thought I possibly had is that these like thorns, I know I'm usurping your idea, but like that these thorns and brambles are growing is actually like the black hole that's causing the nebula to shrink.
Ooh.
So it's gonna like eliminate that society.
I do like the idea that the visual for the thorns and the brambles is this kind of like black holy antimatter that's sucking and drawing stuff in and consuming it and feeding itself off of it.
There's something terrifying about vines that cross between planets and stars.
Yeah. Oh, can you imagine like a weird briar patch that starts on one planet and starts to string out like when you see like neuronal maps of the brain, it's like that, but it's this like spreading thorny void. I think that'd be super cool. So that's my pitch for how to structure all 3 of them into a 3-act block-busting genre-mixing franchise. We got a little over 60 seconds left. So hey, in fact, what if we wanted to learn about one of these characters in greater detail with some kind of additional prompts? If only there was an expansion that we could turn to help us with this. We have a few minutes left on this live stream. I'm doing a longsword tournament in Moncton at the end of the month, and I cannot be late for training this week as I'm really drilling longsword and trying to up my longsword level. So I have to
casual conversations amongst the story engine team, you know.
I have to you guys were studying, or while you guys were storytelling, he was studying
the blade. Yeah. Yeah, you nerds.
You know what's lighter than the pen? This sword.
It's the fetish for
the longsword for sure.
Yeah. All that to say, I do, before I go, want to have a chance to share what we teased at the beginning, which is a little glimpse of one of the new expansions, and we're also going to do a draw to see who wins the Storyteller's Workbook PDF. So, without further ado, we have 3 new expansions coming out, baby! I am really excited about all of these. One, we're going to tease today's character questions, but I'll let you know what we've got cooking. We are creating, or actually have finished the first draft of a romance expansion written in Love and Longing, which is specifically prompts for romance. And we are actually consulting with USA best-selling romance thriller author Maggie K. Black. She's going to be going through the romance expansion with us and making sure that all the cards work and potentially helping us build out some additional resources for how to structure romance stories using different prompts. We have a relationships expansion, which is going to be introduce a new form of like engine conflict that basically really looks at how relationships between characters can be interesting, complex, and actually evolve over time. And then the character questions expansion, which is what we're going to show you a brief glimpse of today. Character questions are basically, we took what was so cool about the Culture Keyholes expansion for Deck of Worlds. That's this guy here. It is every card has multiple cues that ask questions about your world and the people who live there and what matters to them. Oh, whoa, Claire, no way. I was literally like a weekend and a half ago, Maggie drove out to Halifax to do a planning session for the expansion, and we did a little ghost tour together. That's really cool. So actually, I should say I think this may be the first time we've announced it. Actually, so this could also be news, and that's why she didn't tell you, is because we had not yet reached the announcement point for it. But yeah, we're talking to her about doing some work on it. It's going to be fantastic. We are really excited. Yeah, relationships expansion, which is going to map complex and evolving relationships between characters, and then character questions, which we'll show you today. Send her an angry text. Great. Perfect. I'm waiting for my phone to then blow up with like, hey, did we say we were going to announce this yet? But all this to say, character questions, questions that help you understand your character in greater depth. I call these style of questions keyhole questions because they, like a key, they are a small, specific, pointed thing, but they open up larger truths about your character. So let's have a little look at character questions. Eric, why don't you read some of these and talk about maybe some of the ideas behind them? This is the card back format, by the way, that we currently are working on. And then here are some examples.
So we have some examples. For example, questions like, what object do they always carry with them? Maybe it's a ring, maybe it's a keepsake, a little lucky charm. Who will they never trust? I think that one is fairly self-explanatory. What have they never gotten over? Or what are they most afraid of losing? So yeah, these are all kind of, oh, we're one more.
No. Go ahead and talk about it.
I'll keep reading. What do they insist on doing the hard way? Who will they always trust no matter what? What secret can they never tell anyone? Or what truth do they desperately need to hear? Cool.
So yeah, talk a little bit about, we've done a few writing sessions on these now. Eric, what are you excited about the expansion?
What I like about this expansion is like the open-ended, and it's like, I'm always somebody who finds like I'm usually someone who finds like specificity one of the most relatable things about a character. It's like when they're really into like something, it's like, oh, just saying, if you were to just say, it's like, oh, they're really close to their family, like that doesn't mean anything. It's like, that's that describes like pretty much everybody, but it's like, oh, the one person that they will never trust in their family is their uncle, and the one person they will always trust is their sister. It's like now you've got like more tangible relationships between both of those things. So like when you know, like you have like a general window that you want to be in, but then you really get to like answer the specific question that makes it a dynamic that you can actually work with.
Yeah,
well said. What I really like about this deck.
Yeah, well said. I'm really excited for this, for the replay crew. If you're like me and you put on live streams as podcasts in the background, I'm going to scroll through a couple more cards, a couple more sneak peek. But we're just going to show you a little teaser. There's going to be 60 cards, so we're just giving you a little glimpse here.
I will say, like, a question like, what do they desperately need to hear? Is I also think a great question that like nobody really thinks about, because it's like a lot of things, like everybody's in denial about something, and what that something is going to tell you a lot about your character, and it's often like a great thing to like confront in a story, because if somebody tries to tell them the truth, are they going to listen or not? So it's like I find that those are the questions that really drive something.
I would say, as someone who's experiencing this for the first time too, so like I've kind of let the writers go into their little hidey hole and get creative together, and usually I just kind of stay out of their way completely in conceptualizing all of this. And I know one of the things that we have heard our fellow community and adventuring party ask regularly is like, do we have some sort of character deck, or is there a way to create characters? And I know for for us, Story Engine deck obviously is based character based storytelling, right? You start with an agent card, and you can always use those agent cards to create things like Soul Divided, and you can actually have them and create love triangles and such. However, when you ask these questions, I think it's a really interesting way of just awakening something inside of your imagination that makes you start really building out the depth and the Venn diagram of your characters. Outside of, it's like, yes, of course, I guess it really comes back to that thing I even said earlier about you can have all the ideas in the world, but sometimes you need certain things to point you in the right direction. So that's just not this constant, like, amorphous thing. Because one of the things I learned as a writer is, sure, human beings are extremely dynamic and creative, and you need to create that dynamicism, but you have to make sure you point them all in the right direction so that it drives your story forward in the right way. We can't just swim in the mess of humanity all the time, unless you want to write some philosophical, like, questioning thing. But, the one big thing I remember learning about playwriting was that we want to see people go through extraordinary things, and we want to see what makes humans extraordinary. And I think these questions is what makes these characters extraordinary.
Yeah, definitely a good sense of like what makes them tick. What's so interesting about them that they're worth telling a story about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for letting me share this little sneak peek. But I think the last thing we have on our itinerary is to share the winner of the giveaway.
Yes. So again, like, stay tuned. If you guys aren't following us on our social media, you can also sign up for our newsletter, which you can do on our website. And that basically gives you first access to all our news that's going on, whether it is, the sale that we have going on. Like I said, 10% off our main deck and any of our bundles this week, 15% off our expansions and boosters that are Story Engine deck related, and 20% off any of our Story Engine deck expansions or our PDFs. You'll be the first to know that. You'll probably be the first to know when we start opening pre-orders for these new expansions as well. That will be coming at some point in the near future, or any other little, like, tidbits and behind the scenes things you'll discover through our newsletter as well. So be sure to sign up for that. So I'll say, without further ado, it's been a great party, guys. And thank you all for joining this giveaway. This is an opportunity to win the Storyteller's Workbook, our brand new PDF resource that is available, that got released today. And our winner is
Michael Taylor, who shared on Facebook.
Hey, thank you, Michael Taylor.
Congratulations, Michael.
We will reach out to you on Facebook to get your details to deliver your PDF.
Yes, congratulations. Well, I think it was a pretty fun birthday party. I hope our child, our mature, maybe. Do you think Story Engine deck is 6 years old in dog years or human years, or in like monolithic entity like deity years?
I was gonna say, like, I think we're at the least in dwarf or elf years.
Yeah. I have no idea how fast decks age or what their mortality is like. Questions to contemplate about the nature.
Questions to contemplate, and something our chat can all get behind on as well. But I think it was a wonderful 6th birthday party. I hope our child was satisfied, and that dear Father Peter didn't embarrass the child too much.
Not too much. We didn't show the embarrassing childhood photos this time.
This is actually the problem with that. Story Engine is going to be jealous because we got Deck of Worlds a cake.
Oh shit! Why would you mention
in front of him? You said that in front of him.
Wow, we were so close to the end of getting away with it. You just had to out us.
We got the Story Engine, a brand new PDF resource. So if nothing else, there's that.
And new expansions. Like, what was romance?
Yeah.
Story Engine is ready for a girlfriend, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. But thank you all for joining. We will catch you in the next one. We will announce the next live stream in the coming weeks or month. And as always, stay creative. And thanks for bringing all of your creativity and energy to the live streams. It's so much fun to do these with you. And we'll catch you in the next one.
Next time.
Bye.